The Project for a New American Century, the think tank, with the report called Strengthening America's Defenses. This is frankly a demand for full spectrum dominance by the United States. I think the most chilling aspect of the Project for a New American Century document is this kind of transformation of our foreign policy, this kind of strengthening of America's defenses is a revolutionary change and is not going to happen at all quickly, absent a new catalyst of massive proportions, for example, a new Pearl Harbor.
In Crawford, Texas, we found individuals who believed the weapons of mass destruction were found in Iraq.
No weapons of mass destruction were found.
Are you kidding me? Do you buy that?
Yes.
Of course there were mass. Of course there were.
David,
there were.
This guy would make a great citizen in George Orwell's fictitious 1984.
If we took them all away, does that still mean that if he had the capability, would he still? See, that's in the mind.
Well, she's got an ad on TV that said he lied, my son died. You know,
he hasn't lied to nobody.
What did George Bush lie about?
He said he was going to protect this country.
Weapons of mass destructions. That
no matter what it took to keep the enemy out of our backyards. He never said that we weren't going to be nobody killed. That's war.
I think they're saying that Bush lied about WMDs, not about troops were going to die.
But did he though? Those weapons were there.
The authoritarian powers of the state, which are available to government, is very dangerous. And I think we live in a state, we live in states, both the United States and the UK, where the powers to question, to call in evidence, to demand explanation, to hold to account those who are in control are gradually systematically being weakened. This is very dangerous in a democracy.
Now, Dick Cheney and John Bolton and others have been saying Iran poses an immediate danger. They could get a nuclear weapon before we know it. All the same things they said about Iraq. And so we have to do something about that now.
You know, he said the same thing about Iraq, and like you said, he was caught red-handed. It's proven to be lies. Why should we believe him about Iran?
I'm pleased to tell you, American people, that the National Intelligence Estimate just put out on Iran says that Iran cannot possibly have a nuclear weapon for 10 more years. Let me say that one more time. Iran can't be a nuclear power, weapons-wise, for 10 more years.
We have to look at whether our governments are creating enemies so that they can justify what they do. Of course, two of the biggest funders of American presidential campaigns are the oil industry and the arms industry. And it's in their interests that we invade places like Iraq.
We're going to let the Israelis, or we're going to do it ourselves, attack the nuclear facilities in Iran. Now, people say, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I agree. The problem is, folks, the people running our policy toward Iraq and Iran were widely known in the 1980s when I was briefing the Vice President and others as the crazies, okay? The crazies. You come in on Monday morning and somebody would say, guess what the crazies did late Friday night? And you'd know exactly who the reference was. It was to Wolfowitz, it was to Pearl. So all the same folks, some of them who deserted the sinking ship like proverbial rats, okay? But it was Feith, Wolfowitz, and the rest of them. They were the crazies.
There's a lot of other people that are have a dissenting opinion about this war, and has another view of this war other than Cindy Sheehan, and other people have lost sons in this war and daughters. She needs to really go home and do this little protest some other way besides trying to make things sound like she's the only voice of America.
3 weeks later, this gentleman and many others got their wish. Free speech was banned for hundreds of square miles around Bush's Crawford Ranch. Now you can only protest on private property or designated free speech zones where no one can even see your protest.
Look, tourist stuff's popped up here now. Let freedom ring.
We decided to cap off our day in Crawford by traveling down the public highway to where the Secret Service had blocked off the public road 2 miles before the entrance to Bush's ranch. We were promptly told, as if America is now a third world police state, to get out of there, despite the fact that we were credentialed press.
You need to get back in your car and keep standing.
Really?
Yeah, you have to get off the road.
Oh, we're off the road, okay. Or is it all right to stand over here?
Past your cars where you can stand.
Oh, but the barricades are here.
So let me get this straight. You believe that the U.S. government crashed those airplanes into the World Trade Center?
Yes, the evidence shows it.
You're full of Take a hike.
The whole point about 9/11 is that it gave a pretext for a preconceived plan. That plan is in the PNAC document, which precedes 9/11 by almost a year.
It became clear to us that the administration was using the corruption of intelligence to justify a war that need not happen.
In my opinion, when you look at the details of 9/11 and you read reports that there were planes that supposedly contained terrorists but did not take off that day, and that the Flight 93, for example, was supposed to be aimed at either Capitol Hill or the White House, you're in fact looking at a coup d'etat, that they wanted to destroy the infrastructure of American government.
There are a host of unanswered questions on all of this. The reason they're unanswered is because this president, this administration, will not answer the questions.
Why is it that perhaps the biggest question of all, why is it that after, on 9/11, 8:20 a.m., when it was undoubtedly, without any question, that one of those planes had been hijacked, between 8:20 and 9:38, when the Pentagon was hit, an hour and 20 minutes, no US airplane was put into the air?
There were drills on the day of 9/11 in which the American Defense Forces were supposed to be dealing with mock hijackings. Obviously, those would have slowed down the response of national defense to the hijacked airliners. If American passenger jets go off course and they are tackled by American fighter jets, the default position is to shoot them down. And yet in this case, of course, none of that happened.
There was the Andrew Air Force Base 10 miles from Washington. It has a squadron of F-16 fighters. None of those was put into the air. This is absolutely almost incredible. The most powerful military technological country in the world, albeit under a terrifying attack, was not able to put planes into the air, which actually could probably have stopped at least the second and third hits.
And we've got to ask why George Bush sat there with a group of school children for 16 minutes after he'd been alerted to a plane going into the second tower.
The president's in Sarasota. He's told that the second plane has hit the World Trade Center. And the Secret Service guy immediately says, "We're out of here." The president stays for 30 minutes, folks, for 30 minutes. Now, how do you explain that? I've talked to all manner of Secret Service people. They say, "We're out of here" was exactly the right reaction. Everyone knew where the president was. If not the president, you might have had some concern for these little kids. Why did he stay for 30 minutes? Why was he countermanded?
The implication, of course, is he knew exactly what was going on, that he knew that he wasn't under attack.
I think all of this needs to be explained. It wasn't in the congressional report. There was no serious examination of this. And there is the amazing statement made in the official congressional report that the American authorities have not managed to trace the source of the funding. And then the most amazingly disingenuous statement, ultimately, is it of little consequence. It is of massive consequence. The head of Pakistani intelligence at the ISI, Lieutenant Mahmoud Ahmed, requested Omar Sheikh, who is a well-known Islamic extremist who is now actually in prison in Pakistan, to wire $100,000 to Mohammed Atta, who was the lead hijacker. It is absolutely astonishing that that lead has never been followed up. As it happened, General Mahmoud was actually on a visit to the United States, both before and just after